Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to focus on teaching speaking skills, and we are going to focus on some of the class activities that can be done. The objective is that you will be able to demonstrate and practically do these activities in the class and things a teacher should or should not do in teaching speaking skills. Now, class activities for developing a speaking skill. Let's look at them. Basically, the first thing that comes in our mind is how we can develop speaking skill. So to develop this skill, the students need intensive practice. Speaking practice is usually done in pair or group work. So basically, when we talk about the speaking skill, then practice is the most important thing. Intensive practice means a lot of practice inside the class and outside the class as well. Then only they can improve their speaking skill. Now, in case it is done in class, if the speaking practice is done in the class, then it can be done in pairs where there are two people, or it can be done in group, means three or more than three students. Okay. Then the types of class activities. Now, language experts have organized oral skills into four distinctive types. Number one, drills or linguistically structured activities. Number two, performance activity. Number three, participation activity. And number four, observational activities. Now, I'm going to discuss all these activities in detail. Okay, what are these and what kind of activities can come under it? Now, before that, let's look at some of the activities that can be done in the class. Discussions, role plays, stimulations, information gap, brainstorming, storytelling, interviews, story completion, reporting, playing cards, picture narration, picture describing, find the differences. So basically, these are some of the activities that can be done in the class, and all these 13 activities that are mentioned here comes under one of the four types that I have just mentioned in the previous slide. Now I'm going to discuss those four types in detail. Number one is drill or linguistically structured activity. Basically, teachers provide a particular structure and the students practice it by repeating it. It's just like that is done in at the time of the direct method या GTM. जिस तरह से GTM में और डायरेक्ट मेथड में ड्रिलिंग होती है, रेपिटेशन होती है, ये इस तरह की जितनी भी एक्टिविटीज अगर क्लास में करवाई जाती हैं इन ऑर्डर टू प्रैक्टिस एनी वोकैबुलरी आइटम और द प्रोनाउंसिएशन ऑफ एनी वर्ड, then for that such activities can be done. For example, student 1 to student 2, I'm Noor, what's your name? Student 2 to student 3, I'm Anna, what's your name? Okay, so this is one student will ask another student, second student will ask third will ask the fourth one, and so on. In this way, they can practice this particular dialogue. Even the pronunciation practice can also be done in this way. When the teacher is pronouncing the correct word, the correct pronunciation of the word, and then students are repeating after her. So that is also a drill. Okay, when any particular structure is focused, then this is the way that can be done. या टीचर ही बोले, जैसे डायरेक्ट मेथड में या जीटीएम में होता था कि टीचर ने बोला व्हाट इज योर नेम, ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स आर सेइंग व्हाट इज योर नेम, जैसे स्कूल लेवल पे प्राइमरी लेवल पे होता है, ठीक है. बट एज ग्रेजुअली द लेवल इम्प्रूव्स, दिस इज द टाइप ऑफ द एक्टिविटी, और यू कैन से द adaptation of that activity that can be done in the class. Now, the next type is performance activity. Usually, a student prepares himself beforehand or deliver a message to a group. Okay, usually the types of presentations and sometimes the role plays are also a part of this performance activity, where students prepare themselves before giving or presenting anything, the message or speech or any kind of debate. For example, student speech. Now, the third type is participation activity. Participation activity means when students are participating in anything, right? For example, participating in some communicative activity in a natural setting. Example, discussion on some topic. Okay, role plays can also be included in participation activity because the students are participating in particular scenario. कोई role plays के लिए एक particular scenario setting बना दी जाती है और फिर जो है वो proper उनका यानी प्रैक्टिस करवाई जाती है, एक्टिविटी करवाई जाती है, रोल्स परफॉर्म करते हैं. तो एक्चुअली द स्टूडेंट्स आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन सम रोल. Okay, so role plays comes under participation activity as well as performance activity as well. Now the fourth type is observational activities. Observation activities means when students observe something, write a brief summary and present their findings to the class. Okay, like for example, you can see in this picture that there is a small plant over here. The students are looking at it, they can write it in their notebook and then they can read out that. अगर हम बात करें जैसे लिसनिंग स्किल में हमने प्रैक्टिस की थी कि द यूज ऑफ कीवर्ड्स टू राइट अ स्टोरी. ठीक है, सो दिस इज ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ स्पीकिंग एक्टिविटी बेस्ड ऑन ऑब्जर्वेशनल एक्टिविटी. ठीक है, कि वर्ड्स स्टूडेंट्स को गिवन थे बोर्ड पे या पावर पॉइंट के थ्रू स्टूडेंट्स को शो किया आपने और उनसे कहा कि भाई आप इन वर्ड्स पे, इन पिक्चर्स पे कुछ नोट डाउन करें, स्टोरी बनाएं and then you can ask them to read out that story. ठीक है, sometimes even you can it depends on the level of the student. अगर level students का थोड़ा intermediate है या advanced है, then you can even ask them to I mean speak out extempore. Extempore means without any planning. ठीक है, अगर लिख रहे हैं तो वो तो planning में आ जाएगा, लेकिन आप कोई भी चीज जैसे इन्होंने प्लांट रखा हुआ है, आप कोई भी चीज उनको शो करके उस पे आप उनसे स्पीक आउट करवा सकते हैं. तो बेसिकली दिस इज द ऑब्जर्वेशनल एक्टिविटी. यू कैन शो द पिक्चर, यू कैन शो एनी रिलाया दैट इज द रियल ऑब्जेक्ट एंड देन यू कैन आस्क द स्टूडेंट्स टू गिव देयर कमेंट्स ऑन दैट. ठीक है, तो वो विदाउट रिटन पार्ट भी हो सकता है, मतलब जरूरी नहीं कि आप पहले लिखवाएं, आप डायरेक्ट भी करवा सकते हैं. Now, some of the commonly used activities include short speeches, gap activities, role plays, and discussions. That comes under these four types of, four types of activities of speaking skills. ठीक है, तो उन four types के अंडर ये चारों कहीं ना कहीं आ जाती हैं. जैसे short speeches है, that comes under performance activity. Gap activities, they are, you can say, comes under participation activity. Role play also comes under participation, and discussions come under observational and participation both. Okay, so basically in a normal classroom usually these four kind of activities are done. Okay, so I'm going to discuss these four types in detail. How can that be done in the class? Short speeches and so on. Okay, so starting with the shorter speeches. Students may be given some easy essay topic or easy topic, prepare them in verbal or written form, and come to a stage or deliver a lecture or speech for a given time frame before the class. Okay, so you already know how shorter speeches can be done in the class or in speech competitions as well. Case students are given some topics, easy topics or sometimes difficult topic as well, and then they are asked to prepare themselves either in the written form or in the verbal form, and then they are asked to come to the stage or the place where they can deliver to the whole class. Okay, the next is the gap activity. It is actually a form of a dialogue that can be done in the class. One person has some information which the other person does not have. Okay, and with the help of the discussion, with the help of the missing information, they can easily guess the meaning. You can look at this picture. This shows that some information is there. You can say it's some part of information is there, the rest is missing. Okay, so the missing part can be identified or can be मतलब पता चल जाएगा उनको किस तरह से, then they will have discussion. Okay, an interview or self introduction is an activity of this kind. Okay, interview is also kind of a gap filling activity. The way that the interviewer is taking asking the questions from the interviewee, and interview will respond according to it in order to fulfill their requirement of information. Okay. Then the next type is gap activity. We have already discussed it, so it is continued here. In this way, information gap is filled. Okay, when they have, just let me show you. When they are taking interview, when they are talking to each other, discussing with each other, then it will fill their gap of information. This activity will remove the students' hesitation, because in this way they are actually helping each other. Okay. Now the next is the role play. You can look at the picture. This is not actually a fox, but a boy who is wearing this costume in order to play the role. Okay. So this is also a form of a dialogue activity where students may be asked to play different roles in the form of a drama. The students play different roles in this case. Okay. So not always a special I mean event is organized for it. It can easily be done inside the class as well, even on the daily basis. कोई भी situation आपने बना दी और फिर स्टूडेंट से कहा कि भाई अब आप आज हम ये रोल प्ले करते हैं, आज हम ये खेलते हैं, इस तरह से हम बात करते हैं. So in that way this will remove the hesitation of the students and they will feel as if they are actually in that particular character. Okay. And then they can speak out easily. Now, there are a few important things when we talk about role play. First of all, the example. Let's look at the example. One student act like shopkeeper and the other as a customer in a shopping situation. So this situation can easily be done in the class. कि एक shopkeeper बन जाए और एक student जो है वो customer बन जाए और वो shopping करें. तो in this way they will not only learn how to speak but how to bargain as well. Now, this exercise will encourage the students to speak in a real life situation. Okay, you can show the pictures of the giraffe and you can ask the students as if they, not only the picture of the giraffe but of different animals, and then you can show that as if they are in the zoo. Okay, so how will they speak to each other after looking at those animals, or how they will comment on those animals? You can ask them to play in this way as well. उनको रियल लाइफ सिचुएशन देख के उनको कोई रोल प्ले करवा सकते हैं. Okay, then in role play, students pretend they are in various social contexts and have a variety of social roles. In role play activity, the teacher gives information to the learners such as who they are and what they think or feel. Thus, the teacher can help the student that you are Ahmed, you go to the doctor and tell him what happened last night. Okay, so teacher is the one who give them different situations, who give them different dialogues, and then teacher can ask the students to continue with those dialogues or with their role in that particular situation. Now, if we talk about role play, then because its arrangement is very difficult and very important, that's why I'm going to discuss it in detail. Number one, introduction. Explain the role play setting, roles involved, duration, requirement, etc. When we are actually doing role play in the class, and it means the teacher has to be well prepared for that. ठीक है, उसको सेटिंग ना सिर्फ वो खुद प्रिपेयर्ड हो बल्कि टीचर को स्टूडेंट को भी एक्सप्लेन करना होगा सारी चीजें कि क्या किस तरह से स्टूडेंट्स को लेके चलना है. ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ अपने एंड पे आपने बगैर मतलब अपने एंड पे तो आप प्रिपेयर्ड हैं लेकिन स्टूडेंट्स आर नॉट prepared, you have not explained it to them, and then you have actually started the role plays. Okay, so it is very important to make them aware of the setting of the roles that they are going to perform and for what duration they will perform, and what are the actual requirements, the dialogues, the condition that they are supposed to focus on. ठीक है, अब जैसे अगर अभी जो मैंने एग्जांपल दी शॉपकीपर और कस्टमर की, तो अब उसमें क्या टीचर को फोकस करवाना है, बार्गेनिंग का एक एलिमेंट है जो उनको प्रैक्टिस करवाना है, उनको सिखाना है. तो यू कैन आस्क द स्टूडेंट्स दैट they are supposed to focus on the bargaining. सिर्फ शॉपिंग नहीं कि हाँ बस ये है, ये लेना, ये है या नहीं है, that's it. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है. तो जो भी एलिमेंट फोकस करवाना है, टीचर इज सपोज टू एक्सप्लेन दैट in the very beginning, that is in the introduction part. Then the assessment, how can it be assessed? Make it clear to all the students about aspects are to be assessed in the role play. Example, language accuracy, efforts, imagination, costumes, properties, etc. ठीक है? तो बेसिकली जहाँ ओवरऑल कोई इवेंट यानी अरेंज होता है उसमें तो कॉस्ट्यूम्स वगैरह जरूरी हो जाते हैं. लैंग्वेज एक्यूरेसी इज आल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट इन दैट केस, बट इन अ नॉर्मल क्लासरूम कॉस्ट्यूम्स आर यूजुअली नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट. ठीक है, तो आपका सारा जो कंसंट्रेशन और फोकस होता है वो सिर्फ लैंग्वेज फ्लुएंसी और एक्यूरेसी पे रहता है. ठीक है, the way that they are using the language, communicating with each other, coordinating with each other, this is focused, especially in a classroom speaking activity of role play. Now preparation, allow enough time for students to prepare their dialogues. Okay, so if the dialogues are not given by the teacher, then you have to give little bit of time for the students so that they can think about the dialogue and then they can practice that in the role play. Check understanding, the teacher should ensure that students understand what they have to do and are confident that the vocabulary used on the role play handout before they begin. Okay, so if the teacher is giving any handout or any vocabulary items or some dialogues, the teacher should ensure that the students understand each and everything so that they can speak it with confidence. Next is practice. The students are given time to practice their dialogues in or out of the class and create the right mood. So sometimes especially when the students are beginners, then it is important that the students should practice before actually doing the role play. Then comes the performance and the feedback. So after you can see that these are the things required before actually role play. This performance include the role plays. So students then play the role, their roles, that is they perform, and then the feedback and the comments are given by the teacher. After this, the next activity that we are going to discuss, in fact, the last one is the discussion. The teacher will give some topics or pictures and then she can have a discussion over it. Give them instructions on how to proceed. ठीक है, उनको क्या बात करना है, किस तरह से करना है, किस तरह से इस पिक्चर को कि क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, टीचर क्या चाह रही है, whatever the activity is all about. The teacher again should give complete instruction before the start of the activity. Students will discuss the topic, then the teacher or the leader of the group asks the questions and discussions are carried out. ठीक है, तो आपस में group discussion कर लिया and then they can discuss it with the whole class or with the teacher. Okay, and usually that is done with the by the group leader. जहाँ group discussion होती है वहाँ जरूरी होता है कि एक group leader बना दिया जाए. ठीक है, so that particular student will actually be the representative of the group. Okay, and if there is a group leader, then obviously all the rest of the students will listen to that group leader, so the things will be more manageable and more organized. ठीक है, जहाँ जिस ग्रुप में फिर ग्रुप लीडर नहीं होते तो वो सब अपनी अपनी कर रहे होते हैं, तो स्टूडेंट्स को ये भी सिखाना होता है डिस्कशंस में या ग्रुप एक्टिविटीज में, हाउ टू मैनेज द एथिक्स ऑफ द ग्रुप्स, हाउ टू हैव अ प्रॉपर ग्रुप डिस्कशन. ठीक है, वो लड़ाई झगड़ों में न चला जाए बल्कि proper group discussion हो. So this is also the teacher has to focus on. A discussion can be held for various reasons: to arrive at a conclusion, to share ideas about an event, or to find solution in their discussion group. Like for example, I have mentioned you in the class that वो जो एग्नी आंटी का कॉलम आता है, आपने पढ़ा होगा डॉन में. ठीक है, उसमें प्रॉब्लम्स लोग शेयर करते हैं एंड शी इज द वन एग्नी आंटी who is answering all the solutions or giving the solutions and answers, right? So same can also be done in the class. A problem or an issue can be given to the student and then they can discuss it with each other in order to find out the solution for that. Okay, so that will also be the sharing of their ideas and finding solutions with the help of the group discussion. Before the discussion, it is essential that the purpose of the discussion activity is set. Just as I have mentioned in the previous slide, that it is important that the teacher should tell the students about the discussion, about, you can say, the introduction और द डिटेल्स अबाउट दैट डिस्कशन. ठीक है, डिस्कशन भी कोई ऐसे नहीं कि जनरली आपने कह दिया कि भैया आज डिस्कशन करेंगे, तो आज डिस्कशन करेंगे तो किस पे करेंगे, क्या करना है, मेन फोकस क्या है, व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ द डिस्कशन. ऑल थिंग्स शुड नॉट ओनली बी सेट फर्स्ट बट शुड आल्सो बी इन्फॉर्म टू द स्टूडेंट्स before the start of the activity. In this way, the discussion points are relevant to this purpose so that the students do not waste their time chatting with each other about irrelevant things. ठीक है, अगर आप उनको बताएंगे नहीं कि इस डिस्कशन का पर्पस क्या है, उन्हें करना क्या है, तो वो आपस में बातें कर करके टाइम वेस्ट करके सब खत्म कर देंगे टाइम. So it is essential that speaking should be equally divided among group members. Again, as I've mentioned yesterday as well in the class, that all the students should be involved in the activity. This is very, very important, that in any case, all the students should be a part of the speaking activity. ठीक है, कोई भी रह ना जाए किसी भी तरह. क्या अगर आपने एक ग्रुप से एक्टिविटी करवा ली है, एक एक्टिविटी एक ग्रुप से करवाई है, तो दूसरी एक्टिविटी दूसरे ग्रुप से होगी. प्लीज इंश्योर दैट ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स आर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन द speaking activity. At the end, the class decides on the winning group who defend the idea in the best way. Okay, so because discussions are done in group, then they can present their ideas to the whole class, and after that, at the end, the winning group, the one who has presented their ideas in a better way, will get the reward for that. Okay. uh, this activity fosters critical thinking and quick decision making. Okay, so this is not only important in language learning, but it will also develop their critical thinking and decision making ability. And the students learn how to express and justify themselves in the polite way while disagreeing with the others. So they not only they will learn critical thinking and decision making, but they will also learn how to express their ideas and how to justify their ideas, how to accept the ideas of other, how to be more polite in having a discussion or talking with each other. So they can easily learn many of the ethical points as well, not only the language. So for effective group discussion, it is always better not to form a large group, but quiet students may avoid contributing in large groups. Okay, so large group, why large groups should be avoided? Because the students who usually avoid speaking in the class will stop, or you can say totally avoid speaking in the class. ठीक है, so that's why छोटे ग्रुप बनाने चाहिए. ग्रुप का मतलब क्या है? 3 और more than 3 students. Okay, वैसे तो 3 ट्रायल कहलाता है, लेकिन ग्रुप में भी आ जाता है. ठीक है, तो more than 3 students should be there in order to avoid lack of contribution by the students. The group member can be either assigned by the teacher or the student may determine it by themselves. This is another important point. अब group leader कौन बनाएगा? Group member भी किस तरह से डिजाइन होंगे? ठीक है, कौन किस ग्रुप में जाएगा, कौन ग्रुप लीडर होगा, ये टीचर डिसाइड करें या स्टूडेंट्स. कुछ क्लासेस में जैसे बच्चों की कंपैटिबिलिटी इश्यूज होते हैं, तो इसलिए वो अपने हिसाब से पहले ही उन्होंने ग्रुप बनाए हुए होते हैं. तो वो ठीक है, फिर आप वही कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं. अदरवाइज यू कैन रीग्रुप देम सो दैट दे कैन कम्युनिकेट विद अदर्स एज वेल. ठीक है, एंड इन दैट केस यू हैव टू बी मोर केयरफुल. केयरफुल इन द सेंस कि भाई आपस में कोई, अगर आप बना रहे हैं तो कोई लड़ाई झगड़ा ना हो, वो आराम से इजीली चीजें कंडक्ट हो जाएं. एंड दिस विल ओनली हैपन व्हेन द थिंग्स आर क्लियरली एक्सप्लेन टू द स्टूडेंट्स. But groups should be rearranged in every discussion activities so that students can work with various people. This is important because we have to prepare the students for interacting in our daily life. हमारी डेली लाइफ में सिर्फ वही लोग नहीं होते जिनसे हम डेली कन्वर्सेशन करते हैं, हर रोज किसी नए से भी हमें बात करनी पड़ती है, उनको भी डील करना पड़ता है. सो rearranging the groups on daily basis or on weekly basis will help them work with other students as well, and they will be open to more different ideas. Lastly, in group or class discussion, whatever the aim is, the students should always be encouraged to ask questions, paraphrase ideas, express support, check for clarification, and so on. Okay, so it means the students should always be encouraged to ask questions. For paraphrasing, for support, for clarification, teachers should always be there. So that's all for today. These are some of the references. Thank you so much. Thank you.